Well, joining us now is Greg Swenson. He's the chair of Republicans Overseas UK. Now, we were speaking yesterday, weren't we, whilst the results were beginning to trickle through from the midterms without the arrival of that red tsunami, which we were predicting put President Trump in a difficult position, really. We were sort of questioning whether or not he would still go ahead. Silly question, I suppose. Yeah. If you know anything about Donald Trump, you know he was always going to do it. But can he do it? Can he win?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more challenging than perhaps he thinks, or definitely more challenging than it was in 2016. So, you know, a lot has changed since the last election, and I don't think it will be easy for the president. In fact, I think there's a good chance he would lose, both in the primary or if by some miracle he won the primaries, he would lose in the general. So there's a risk there. This is a different situation than we had 6 years ago. Yeah,
can he win the next election?
He can. But I don't think he will. You know, I mean, the odds are not good for President Trump right now. The metrics have changed. You know, he lost in the midterms in 2018. He lost in 2020. And then his endorsed, or should I say, the candidates that were selected by him did very poorly in this midterm election last week. So, you know, all those electoral challenges are obvious. So whether you like him or not, or whether he did a good job as president or not, doesn't really matter if he can't win elections.
Is he a problem for the Republicans now? I know that an influential group of Conservative donors have basically said, look, here's the polling, DeSantis is our man in a lot of the key states. Yeah. Trump last night dismissing them as rhinos, Republicans in name only. And there is a core of support for Trump, for the things that he stands for, and a lot of it being represented in our views this morning from some of our listeners and watchers. Dudley saying Trump's time in office had the world a much safer place. Who else has taken the trouble to put Rocket Boy back in his box? Bill says, great news about Trump, the man who puts America first and fights the undemocratic globalists. So many people sharing that view.
Well, it's a good point. I mean, you think about what he did, tax reform and deregulation and energy security, conservative or constitutionalist judges, the Abraham Accords, all these good things that he did. But the difference is it's not rhinos that he's now facing. He's facing the new generation of Republicans or conservatives that actually are a lot like him, or at least according to most, and the views are that from a policy perspective, they're very much like Trump. So this isn't Trump versus Jeb Bush or McCain or Romney. This is Trump versus Mike DeSantis,
right?
You know, Governor Youngkin in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. So these are the new generation. So I don't think he's going to really have much argument by saying people are rhinos. The big donors faded on Trump before the midterms.
Okay.
They'd already faded, and really, I mean, he's got the grassroots in many respects, but it's shrinking.
And you get to vote in the primaries, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will you be voting for then? Who's your choice?
My personal choice would be DeSantis right now.
Right.
But I have to say, I like Mike Pompeo. I like Glenn Youngkin. Mike's a great guy. He's been over here to London a few times. But right now, DeSantis has all the political capital. So I want to win, first of all. And DeSantis has the highest probability of winning. He's polling very well against Trump in head-to-head matchups right now. The problem is if too many people run from the right, they'll split the not-Trump vote, which is what happened in 2016.
Yeah.
But again, the difference back then was you had 14 kind of establishment, moderate Republicans, you know, country club Republican types splitting the anti-Trump vote. Trump was only getting a third of the primary voters in 2016 for the most of the primaries.
Yeah.
Right now, it would be Trump versus conservative, fight back, combative candidates that are like, a lot like him.
Ron v. Don.
But what's amazing is they're able to be combative and push back against the media and push back against the progressive left, but also be likable.
Yeah.
And that's the trick. And it can be done. And DeSantis and Youngkin have proved that. So is Brian Kemp and Greg Abbott in Texas. So many people are proving that can be done. And Trump is still in he's still in this mode of, I must be obnoxious to
bring back
support.
the gentleman.
Yeah,
bring back the country club gentleman.
If you can combine the two.
It's going to be fascinating to watch, the two different styles.
It's exciting.
Good manners are always the answer. So interesting to get your take. Greg Swenson, Chair of Republicans Overseas.
Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed.